Logs rolling on the East River bank like a shroud. It covers
Bleecker Street by Simon Garfunkel, originally capoed on the 9th fret, but you'll quickly learn that it is very difficult to do anything up here unless you have a cutaway or probably a very thin-necked guitar. If you have this rounded, if this does not provide you a lot of room, it will probably help to lower the capo. Another tip is to make sure that the tip of the capo does not go beyond this bottom side of the neck. If it goes further down, it just gets in the way, that little lip, and it can make it difficult to do what you need to do. So I always make sure that it's just barely passing, just enough to press down on the string. The hardest chord in the song is going to be that D over F sharp. Fortunately, there are a couple different ways to play it. You saw me playing it there, where you're playing a traditional D shape and then just reaching around the thumb to grab the F sharp. That's one way to do it. Again, playing it that way is quite difficult if you don't have a lot of room up here because your palm needs a lot of space back there. So if you're limited in that way, that might not work. One other way you can do it is to play the D chord with these 3 fingers and then reach around and play the F sharp there. That's where the capo is going to be very important, because if this is sticking out, it's going to be tough to do that. There's also the option of playing in this manner or even this manner and not even putting down the G string fret. The difference is this versus this. There's obviously a difference in pitch there, but if it's a matter of being able to hit the most important notes, it might be worth the sacrifice to not play this note. And in some instances, it's actually not even needed. So in those cases, you can play this and be just fine. I don't actually think it even sounds bad if you do play it that way. It kind of creates a nice dissonance. But there are just a couple different ways to play this chord that you'll want to play around with. In my tutorial, I think I switch it around quite a bit, and I can't remember. I tried recording it a couple times, and the different variations came out just whenever. So it's good to be familiar with all of them, so you can pick and choose which one you prefer. Also, it would be good to discuss bars 4 and 5. Bar 4, I think, will probably come pretty naturally. But bar 5 is a little bit different. Your left hand, all your left hand is doing is just this hammer-on while fretting a regular G chord. All your right hand is doing is this. And then the hard part is just combining the two and putting the hammer-on in the right place. Because you're plucking the bass string at the same time as you're doing the hammer-on. Then you're doing the pull-off. And then you're plucking the D string again. So, in your mind, in order to distinguish between the two, I would suggest playing them over and over, back and forth, intentionally, one versus the other. And just go back and forth between the two until the muscle memory is built into your hands. And you'll notice that I played the D over F sharp in different ways through both of those playthroughs. And this is where it is probably the hardest, because what you have to do in this case is you have to lift off that second fret of the E string and get that open note. And that takes some getting used to, because normally when you're playing a D, you can lift off that E string really easily. But when you're playing that F sharp at the same time, especially so high up on the neck, it can be difficult to do it in this manner, where it might be a little bit more comfortable lower down on the neck. Up here it's a little bit more restricted and confined, and so you don't have as much room to wiggle around. So play around with that. You might even try this version if you like. It doesn't sound terrible. Or maybe just don't even hit that note. You can try it like that as well. At this point in the song, you go back to line 2 and start repeating the verse. And something to note actually is that the first bar that I have in that line 2, you don't play on any of the remaining verses. On verses 2, 3, and 4, you cut that bar out and you replace it with the last bar in line 6 that we just went over.